Me.
A very good afternoon to everybody, and selamat and mabuhay from Singapore. Wendell, real quick, if you can just hear me. Okay, I see the heart, which is great. I am going to start sharing my presentation. Perfect. I think we're ready to go. Once again, a very good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for giving me the time today, especially to the team at ARC1, to our distribution partner WSI as well. It's really great to finally be well, still remote, not in Philippines and not in Manila just yet, but great to be addressing and speaking to many of our customers that we have on the ground. I lead the Citrix service provider route to market stationed out of Singapore. I'm joined on the call with my colleague and partner in crime, Kelvin Munn. Kelvin, if you can give a quick wave to everybody or a quick hello to everybody in the chat box. Kelvin and I lead the business across, like I said, Southeast Asia, Korea, where we specialize in developing services and go-to-market offerings with partners like ARC1 Solution. Partners like ARC1 are our partners who integrate Citrix technology into their various offering route to markets. And in essence, they provide some of these consolidated offerings to customers like yourself in the forms of a desktop as a service, application as a service, infrastructure, platform, or as what we say in the industry, any form of a consumption services. Before I even speak about the power of this consumption service model, I think it's important to recognize that this new world that we have dropped ourselves into, and I say, or the new world that we've evolved into, is this world of hybrid work. I think all of us would agree that it's been 2.5 years since the pandemic first struck, and if I think just in the way that they want to do app modernization, but they want to find a greater ability to cut down the time and the transition taken for a lot of this from instead of a traditional 1 to 3 year approach to, in fact, in a few months or immediate needs based on some of the customer requirements that are there. That means service providers like we have and the team at ARC1 have to constantly evolve and adapt their services. And in fact, because of the fact that 85% of IT organizations are going cloud first, they are embracing any of these cloud principles. So the question then to ask yourself is, have you thought about the form of embracement of a cloud first approach? And if you have, then the other questions you may ask yourself, and these are all data that we have gathered from various different forms of data sources and research providers. 74% of enterprises have said they are clearly looking out to phase this VPN approach. With this need to work from anywhere, with this need to be constantly available or on-demand access, this whole traditional parameter-based security approach of a centralized firewall is not very effective now. In fact, on top of that, this whole approach of VPN actually brings about a significant amount of inherent security risk, because it's not just the security aspect or the contextual aspect or the single line of tunnel that's there. Our needs have changed. Our growing needs are not singular in manner anymore. Our growing needs are contextual. And that means the zero trust security framework or the SASE framework that you're all familiar with is actually what many of our customers are speaking about as their needs and solutions for the future. And last but not least, like I mentioned, I'm today working from home and I'm still in a very flexible and remote work option. It's not just me. I know Kelvin is also working from his remote location today. And that means many of our customers as well, and yourself, some of you all might be doing the same. And if you are, send a chat in the chat box, send a love sign, because that's the new norm. It's not having to get up at 6 in the morning and rush to the office and spend an hour and a half in traffic. And I know in Philippines and Manila, traffic can be a bit of a nightmare, especially the morning peak hour on Shaw Boulevard. Oh, sometimes I used to be stuck in hours worth of traffic. We don't want that anymore because it doesn't make us productive. So then the question is, are you ready to start embracing all these new ideologies? And if you want remote work, have you enabled your users to have the best employee experience in that? The future of Asia is driven by cloud. I think we've all come to agree on that. In fact, in the market statistics out there, the market is so huge that we're looking at close to over in excess of $200 billion worth of cloud expenditure that we're expecting in Asia. And when I say Asia, I'm talking about the traditional Asia of Southeast Asia, Australia, New Zealand. Because of that, what we have as many vendors also recognize that there is this growth engine, and many of customers like yourself might be spending significant amounts in this growth engine. But to understand the amount and to understand what's fueling all of this new change, we need to recognize the 4 key things that I share up on the screen. We spoke a lot about cloud adoption, so I won't speak too much about it, but we know that everyone is talking about cloud first. The part that's really important is, how are you providing an integrated workspace to your users? Be it whether you are a global organization going through different changes and bringing different organizations together, or be it whether you need to provide access and contextual access to some of your remote workers. Are you allowing your workers to be productive with the best-in-class workspace, but yet not have to pay an arm and leg for it? And that's where this consumption flexibility model that myself and Kelvin lead is a very important aspect within our ecosystem. Security, we spoke a lot about. We do know that this contextual access security is a key thing, needing to ensure that I bring in the best-in-class security, not because I don't trust my users, but because by inherent choice, I do not want to trust them, so that I do not need to worry about the security risks that come with them. And last but not least, this identity and the need for identity management continues to be a very big fuel of change for this new demand as a service model. So IT modernization is a lot of things. You see a lot of key things that are popping up here. It could mean a different host of stuff, from operational improvements to modernization of your infrastructure. What we are seeing is this big shift needs to be scalable, flexible, agile, and it needs to be even more important than it used to be. There are a host of different examples that we can talk about, but you need to ask yourself, as an IT user, as an IT administrator, as a stakeholder in ensuring you have the best-in-class IT modernization, have you then thought about what does that look like from your partner? What does that look like from the vendors that are providing you this IT modernization? So Citrix, we address all of it. And I wouldn't say anything different because I work for Citrix. So I have to naturally say that. But I don't say that because I have to. I say it because I believe we address all of this. If you look at the value that Citrix brings to modernizing IT, you will see that across our solution stack, our customers have actually started thinking about how do they move out of their security in a very perimeter fence to a larger base security. We've got our application and delivery and security stack called the ADNS. ADNS helps a lot of our customers do load balancing of the application in the cloud. We have analytics that we bring into the conversation, and that allows for you as an administrator to understand the visibility that accounts for the challenges that your IT staff may be facing. So what I would be speaking a lot about today is this focus on a few things, but primarily on the power of Citrix DaaS and why Citrix DaaS is one of the most important components that you would need to think about when you talk about value IT modernization. We know desktop delivery is evolving. In the past, it used to be physical desktops. I remember having to always rush back after all my customer meetings to my physical desktop in my old office. This was talking about maybe 20 years ago when I first joined the IT industry. And it used to be frustrating because I would go out with a notebook and speak to all my customers. Owning a laptop was very expensive at that point of time. So the company I was working for didn't give us laptops. We all had physical desktops. So I would go out, I would speak to all my customers. I would bring all the pamphlets and the brochures, and I have to go back to my desktop in my office to have to then prepare all the various quotations. That is no more the case. We are all remote users. I'm a remote user, right? I don't work on physical desktops anymore. Over time, what we've seen is this need of virtual desktop infrastructure, VDI, where we've taken the centralized management, the limited flexibility, but yet the scalability that's tied to data center capacity. And we have then empowered a whole suite of users with that. But VDI is not the only important factor anymore. Today, it's not about a data center capacity anymore. It's not about a physical data center anymore. It is really about how do we provide your desktop, your use case, your user use case, your different varieties of your profile in your organization. How do I take everyone's needs and provide it as a service? And that's where this desktop as a service comes into play, because we're talking about highly scalable, highly adaptable. We're talking about cloud management that's at the click of your fingertips. And more importantly, we're talking about that flexibility. And you as a user have a choice now. You pay based on usage. You don't pay based on assumption of I need 500 users. If in a given month you only have 300 users, you pay based on your usage. So some of the use cases. We have seen many use cases across the region, be it from the remote work flexibility that's needed, be it from contractual seasonal workers, be whether we've had organizations that have gone through mergers and acquisition where you have this whole transitional workforce that happens, or short-term projects. The key thing is desktop as a service caters to each and every one of these needs. So I have a slide up here that summarizes all the benefits of moving to DaaS, be it from IT cost savings to future-proofing your business needs. The Citrix DaaS solution is a solution that gives you the entirety of the product solutions that are there on offer. It's one of the highest performing desktop as a service solution out there in market because Citrix is known for it. We are known to be the #1 VDI and app and desktop provider of the world. Our HDX proxy, our HDX protocol ICA proxy is the #1 leading proxy protocol for VDI delivery services. So don't look too far. Think about it. Use Citrix in forms of your VDI needs and partner with your preferred partner that's on the call today, ARC1 Solutions. So I spoke with a quick summary on the desktop as a service business model, but to understand the need and why this business model is so important, you need to think about the trends of this consumption-based offering that brings about flexibility and choice. In the yesteryears, IT used to focus on fixed CapEx budgets. IT had limited IT support. You had to do everything yourself. You had to fix the laptop yourself. You had to solve a problem yourself. You had to do a resolution on a computer that crashed yourself. It's no more the case. You as an IT organization don't need to do that anymore. You actually can outsource it. You can provide it out to a service provider to help you manage that heavy lifting. It's no more about CapEx budgets. It's OpEx budgets in today's world. IT now is a predictable operating expense. It's no more fighting for budget on an annual basis. You get the liberty and the ability to pay based on consumption that allows you to reduce this overspend that we have all been very familiar with. IT now becomes a strategic driver. Think about IT, you IT administrators out there, being someone who can be strategic for your organization. And last but not least, this whole consumption services model, the value and the benefit of it is faster implementation, better user experience in that whole process as well. To understand what the consumption services or CSP model, I always like to use these two key fits. We spoke about leveraging OPEX and CAPEX budgets. So think about leasing a car and buying a car. If the price is the same, and keep that as a equal comparison, take the price comparison out of it because it's the same. What would you do? If you know you are going to be paying the same cost, whether you're leasing the car or buying the car, but in leasing the car, you don't have to pay for break fix. You don't have to pay for maintenance. You don't have to worry about if the car broke down, you're the one who has to call AAA or call a tow truck. You call just one number and say your car broke down, give me a new car. However, if you buy your car, if your car breaks down, you have the unexpected fixes you need to sort out of your pocket. You have the maintenance you need to pay out of your pocket. More importantly, today, if you want to change your car, that means you have to sell your car. Whereas in the leasing model, you don't have to sell, you just return the key and get something new. The second key fit I always speak about is, do you want to pay based on monthly consumption, or do you want to pay based on the full price value where you are taking money upfront? I like to use this analogy of a Coke bottle. Think about paying per drink of Coke or a bottle of Coke. What's the one thing that all of us like when the one thing all of us aim to achieve when we consume a Coke bottle? It's that feeling. It's that feeling of refreshment. Now, if I purchased a 1.5 liter PET bottle, a large bottle of Coke, and it was only for myself or only for a small number of users, and I don't end up finishing the bottle, what ends up happening with that Coke bottle? That flavor is not there anymore because you've lost all the gas. And that means that Coke bottle now ends up just becoming an early cause to diabetes because all it is just sugar and water. So now if I suggested to you that you could get the feeling whenever you need it because it's based on demand, and each time round, the size of the demand is based on what you use, you are now constantly given that feeling. And I think that would be much better than having to get pre-diabetes by drinking sugar water with a very flat bottle of Coke. That's exactly the same concept that I'm speaking about here. Go with the monthly flexibility choice model based on your usage, based on your consumption. Now you may say, Kevin, that's great. How do I understand whether the model works for me? There's a checklist we created. This checklist gives you an entire understanding of whether the consumption services model is good for you. There are 8 questions on here. Very simple questions because we don't need to overcomplicate it. Of course, each of these questions will have sub-questions. But if you answer 4 out of these 8 questions with a yes, then be rest assured the consumption services model is the right fit for you. So summarizing, because I know I've only got a few more minutes left, what's the advantages of the consumption-based model? Think about IT flexibility and employee experience. Going by the DaaS consumption-based model allows you to not only have the zero trust framework, because now you are truly managing your access control. It also allows you to enable cost-effective IT management. It allows you to work with a best-in-class service provider. And ARC1 is best-in-class when it comes to consumption services. It allows you to do economies of scales as well. You now improve your utilization rate and reduce this over provisioning that we're so used to. So it gives you the true pay-as-you-go, pay-as-you-use model. The risk is not with you anymore. The risk is now with me, the vendor, because I am providing you all the licenses, providing you all the options for you to use first and pay later. And last but not least, it allows you to consolidate cost. It allows you to offload some of the management to the Citrix Cloud, for example, and it allows you to constantly be in a business continuity approach. Nobody knew COVID and the pandemic was going to hit us in 2020. Let us not repeat it in 2025 and 2030 by not having your BCP plans in place. So to end off shortly, customer success stories, we've got quite a number of them out there. very great customer success stories. Everyone's going to get a copy of these slides naturally. I won't go through any of them today because we don't have that much time, but I urge you, click on the hyperlinks, read some of these customer success stories, because I can tell you many of them are going to be relevant for what you might actually need in your organization. Last but not least, how to get started. If you're a new customer and want to embark on a Dash journey, click on the hyperlinks. All of them will point back to myself and Kelvin, or in return, speak to the team at ARC1, and they'll work with us towards getting you on that journey. If you are an existing customer of Citrix and you want to move now some of your on-prem workloads to a Citrix Cloud workload, likewise, same thing, follow the steps that are there, reach out to us, and we will ensure that we convert all of your POCs, your trial, to production for you when you want it at your own convenience. On that note, I thank you. Windell and the team at ARC1, I hand back to you. Should any of you all need to speak to me, reach out to me. My email addresses will be in the contact boxes that are there. And should you have any questions, feel free to just raise your hand up and we will address the questions or pop them in the Q&A chat box. Thank you.